Okay, welcome to CloudCalc Pipe Stress. I'm going to take you through a quick introduction to the product. If you've used CloudCalc Structural, you'll see that works very similarly. Generally, the first time you come in, we want to give you something, don't want to just present you with a blank screen, so we give you some options on your own, just pulls you into the blank screen. You can get started on your own tutorial. We'll bring up a step-by-step tutorial wizard, a parametrically built set of standard configurations like expansion loops, etc., and pre-built will bring you in a model. So when you first join or come in, pick pre-built, and it'll give you something that you can start playing with to see how CloudCalc works. Give it it'll ask for a name. If that model already exists, it'll tell you that. Also, it'll bring in this pre-built model. Also tells you that you can always get basically a tour of the application or context-sensitive help by clicking any place where you see a question mark, such as here for the graphics on the main screen, on some of the individual screens, etc. Okay, once you're here, it should bring in the model. It's just something to look at and play with and test. Go up and click this element here, the CloudCalc logo, and this will open up the data sheet. And generally, CloudCalc set up this way: graphics over here, data entry over here. If you need more graphics screen area, you can close this, click here, it reopens. Now, occasionally, since all the different types of input are on this side, when you come back, it may be an input screen that you didn't expect or didn't want, but you can simply navigate to a different one. So, for example, job parameters, description notes, etc., modeling. And go right back to this. Now on the left, I want to talk about probably the most two important commands in CloudCalc. The first one is undo, redo. We all make errors. It says infinite undo and redo for the session. So if I do something I don't like, just simply hit this and take it back to where, as far as you want it to. If you decide you took it back too far, you can redo as well. Next important key or command is to leave this data screen. And that can be done by either next or previous or first or last, stepping through this. So if you see that the data screen corresponds to each of these elements here. And as we step through it, the highlight synchronizes. So we can go to the first, we can go to the last element, etc. But some way of leaving the screen. Another way of leaving the screen, and maybe much more common when you're doing this, is page down, page up, Control N, Control Home. And why do I say this is important? Because changes made on the screen don't process until you leave the screen. What do I mean? If I want to change the element size, let's say this is a 6-inch standard pipe. If I want to make that a 16-inch pipe or a 36-inch pipe, for example, I pick that, nothing happened. Why did nothing happen? Because it doesn't process until I leave that screen. So if I press page down, it now converted that to a 6-inch pipe. If I don't like that, I can undo here. So on this side here, it's basically commands for navigating through the data sheets or through the model, moving through first, previous, next, etc. New will allow you to enter a new element at the end of the job. So I click this. We're now at element 49 of 48. We're ready to put in a new one. It doesn't process until you hit page down or something like that, or leave it. Now, if you say page up without entering anything, it doesn't process, so we still have 48 of 48. Other things here, if you wanted to find a specific element, let's say this one, 190 to 200, let's say we wanted to find that we're on someplace else, and we can simply say, let's find node 190 to 200, and when you click that, we synchronize and highlight we're working on that element and see the data associated with it. Now, synchronization works both ways. You may have noticed I would highlight this. You can double click on these, and we highlight here, and the synchronization, the data sheet synchronizes. Highlight this one, we can see what's going on here. So if I was curious about what was going on with this valve, I can double click on that. It brings me to that element. I see it's noted as a valve or rigid, weighs 3,000 newtons, etc. Other things we have insert. If you want to insert an element at a certain point in the model, delete, if I want to delete that model, etc., you can do it. So this is for navigating through the model. Now up here we have a few other commands. We have new. If you want to create a new model, simply do this, type in a name, and it will start a new model for you to build. Open, we can go pick some old ones if you have something. We may want to, what am I going to do? Okay, maybe I have that number of jobs and I can select that. One slick thing is we can let you read and work and review and run other people's models if they've shared them with you. We'll go into that later. Things we can save it under a different name if you want to make a copy, different version names, etc. You can, if you want to archive your models, you can download them. They go out to a CloudCalc neutral file. And then if you want to upload them at a later time, we can do that. It's very simple. We simply say download, and here it is. And if later we want to upload, we simply go here, choose that file, and find the download right here, and simply select and re-import it. So it makes it very easy to archive your jobs offline. Input, this is for typing in everything about your model or entering everything about your model. We have a wizard. It's not active yet, but it'll have standard configurations, omega loops, expansion joints, etc. to put in very easily. I showed some of these before. If you want to put in descriptions of your job, you want to put in job parameters, various default stiffnesses, your codes, your things that govern your nonlinear analyses, your friction, ambient temperature goes in here. Fixed nodes, if you want to give a specific coordinate system to your model, you can do this. Or if you want to build a grid, it's very easy to do. You say, give me a nodal coordinate, node 10 or whatever it is, give the coordinate system. You can save it. If you want to array these or put them out on a grid, you can array them very easily. I'll delete this right now. Modeling, that's for each element again. List view, if we want to see this in context, you can look at each of the elements. If you want to do a search, and for example, you want to search or sort and you want to find all your 4-inch pipes in here, you can do this. All your different material types, who has a bend, who doesn't have a bend. You can search and sort by this. This is read only. You can't enter things in here or make changes yet. Restraints and hangers. Any restraints you have can be listed or entered here. Any spring hangers you have can be modeled. Also, next we can look at the piping loads. For example, here's temperature. You can add, edit, modify, delete any of these loads, pressure loads, etc., and everything else, fluid content, uniform loads, concentrated loads, applied displacements, etc. We also have this screen. This is read only. You can't edit here, but it's the running nodal coordinates, tells you the location of each of these, so you can check your tie-in points, for example. Static load cases. Generally, we have an initialized load case, which will look at the load cases you have, the code you're using, whether you have springs, and try to set up and make recommendations. And then we have dynamic load cases, dynamic spectra, that's not in there yet. Full screen graphics is just another way of clicking back and forth here, this logo, and giving yourself all graphics. Let's go back to modeling. Then we've got the analysis menu that gives you static and dynamic analysis. Static will run those load cases we just set up, it runs out in the cloud, results come back down here. The blue, if you're on displacements, you get displaced shape for each load case, and you'll see load case 1 of 7 here. Element forces, stresses, code compliance, color coded, green for pass, red for fail, blue for pass but close. Step through your load cases like this, first, last, previous, next, etc. Go through and we see where something fails here. For example, red is failure, blue, close, green, pass. Restraint loads, spring hanger design, it will go ahead and pick out your spring hanger from the catalog, etc. Dynamic analysis will do modal extraction and response spectrum, not quite there yet. Output and reports us simply if you're on another screen or on modeling screen, you want to go back to those results, click here. It brings your output results back. Collaboration, here's something particularly slick that you can only do on the cloud. You want to share a model with a colleague, for example. We can say, let's add a share, and we can go and pick somebody who's on your team and say, let's add it to this. And that person can now go onto their account and they can get access to this. How do they do that? When they go to open a model, they simply say, down at the bottom here, show the shared jobs too. Up until that point, you don't get it. But now, if you click that, you'll see those jobs are owned by other people that shared that with them. You can open it or copy it to your account. Collaboration, another slick thing here is we can give a link. So if you want to send this model to a client for review, you can email them this link. They simply go and put that in, a new URL, and suddenly, whether you have CloudCalc or not, you're in here. It says, you're a guest, you're reviewing as a guest. You can't change it. Everything's disabled for changes, but you can review things. So if we want to see how was this modeled, etc. We want to look at the run results, etc. The results of the analysis, you can do that as well. So we can move through these and look at the results of what you did. So it's a good way to share the model with people who don't necessarily have CloudCalc, who might have a need to know. And other things, we have tools, configuration, interfaces. We can import and export from Caesar2 neutral file, import a PCF file, certain things, data from and to Excel. Units, we can go and we've got a number, we come pre-shipped with a number of units, a couple of English ones, a couple of metric ones as well. You can customize these. So you can come in and say, I want to edit my own set of units here. And we'll look more at these in later videos. Likewise, configuration, you come in here and tell it how you want to run things typically. Deform, shape, scale, factor, you can set your typical node increment. So generally that's going to be 5 or 10. What type of units you generally work in, which code, whether you want to auto-generate bend nodes, etc. And what else? Catalog. If you saw in the drop list, you may have noticed we only have a couple pipes in the member type, pipe type. We only have a couple materials, but we've really got hundreds of materials. We've got all of the different pipe shapes. What we recommend you do is that we don't overwhelm you on the drop list, is that you come and set these up in advance, or even while you're working. You can say, what pipes do I generally like to work with? So if you like to work with a 24-inch schedule 60, for example, we can say, here's that pipe. Let's look at the properties. That looks good. I want to add that to my local catalog or my local drop list. It's there now. So you come back in and you're now working with this. We recommend that you might want to set that up in advance. However, you can do it on the, as I just mentioned, you can do that on the fly as well. So there we go. And other things, graphic editing. The slick thing here is that you can edit anything that you could do from the data screen, you can do graphically as well. In fact, we'll have a whole video on how to enter something graphically. So if we want to select something, let's look at the graphic commands here. These are for panning. You can pan it this way, or you can simply say left mouse click and drag the mouse around and pan as you see fit. This is for moving back and forth through the cutting plane. This is for rotating. So you can click these keys, or you can use the cursor keys up, down, left, right, or you can do a shift left click with the mouse, and it allows you to freely rotate these things. Zooms, okay. Zoom out, zoom in, use the minus key, the plus key, or as I prefer, the mouse wheel. It's the easiest way to go. This puts you in draw mode, so we can say click, let's build a pipe from here to here. As part of the graphic modeling that we do, and we'll talk about later. Likewise, we have select elements by window. So So I can select here, I can select this. If I want to edit or work with more than one, I can do that. Now this is this control, this simulates putting down this control key. So if you're on a device like an iPad or a Mac that doesn't have a control key, we can say if we control click, okay, you grab and add to that set. So if we want to work with all of these elements at once, you can do that. This is select nodes, a nodal select. If you do that, grab the nodes you want to edit or work with. You may see it turns orange. We can, again, the control key lets you add to that. If you don't have a control key on, then it's a replace the set. If we had a nodal grid that we set up, this turns on those nodes, whether they're part of the piping system or not. This is a little floor that is sometimes shown, enhances or de-enhances your model. Various views, so we got the 3D view, we got the X view, the Y view, the Z view. Hotkeys work with this. Hotkeys work for most of these. So things like element select is E, node select is N, getting out of that and putting into pan mode is P for pan. 3D view is 3, X view is X, Y is Y view, Z is Z view, etc. If you want to pretty up your graphics, we've got this texture mode, which makes it look more like pipe. This here is for animation of dynamic results. We'll talk about that later. We've got centerline view. Here we can show the various types of loads. So if we have concentrated loads or uniform loads or applied displacement, or simply if we have, let's look at our loads here, temperature case, 450 degrees, it's all red. You can see where, what parts of the model are what different temperatures. Pressure case, 3,500 kPa, etc. Fluid case, they all have to happen to be the same. That's why everything's the same color here. And this is simply to redraw your model. This is nodes on and off, and we're going to add some more options with that. And finally, the help, tour of the application. You can go through, same as hitting these question marks any place here, and it goes through and explains how this application works. And we're going to have some nice documentation, not quite there yet. Tutorial, sample tutorial job. We're going to have user's manual, quick start screen. If you want to bring this back, you can do that. YouTube channel, these videos you'll find on there. You got a problem, a question, simply do that. Email us, and come right to us, and we'll answer you as quickly as we can. And the other thing you'll see, this change. This is my favorite message here. Your software is up to date always. Especially during this beta, we're going to be bringing out new versions every couple of days. And so it'll be automatically updated with new features and fixes and things like that. And the other thing here, okay, I took you through everything. The only button left is log out. One button you may be saying, where's the save button if we make a change? And we haven't changed too much here. The next couple of videos are going to show how to input things. It's really, there is no save. I mean, as you're going along, things get saved. Changes get saved up to the cloud. If you lose your connection, if somebody pulls the plug on your machine or breaks your internet, don't worry, it's always there. And when you come back in, you always find yourself in the same place. So if I come back here, you'll find that you're exactly where you left off. Anyway, good luck to you. Any questions, please email us. We'll be in touch. Thank you for helping out on the beta. And the next videos, we'll talk about actually how it would go through and model something. Thank you. Bye.